What's up everyone? So today we are going to try to get this look, but I'm kind of breaking this video down a little bit differently than I usually do. I'm going to go into brushes and what colors in eyeshadows should you use, and that's requested by my friend, so we'll get started. Shouts out to Christelle for requesting this type of video. So first off, I'm going to start off with eye primers, and what I usually like to use is the Soft Ochre Painterly Pop by MAC Cosmetics. And I really like this one personally because it's very creamy and I like to apply it by using my fingers. Another really good one is a 24-hour eye base by MAC Cosmetics, and it just helps to really keep on the eyeshadow for a long period of time. And I'm not saying that you have to use these eye primers, but personally these are the ones that I find work best for me. And I know there's other primers out in the market, such as the Urban Decay Primer Potion, that I've used before but I haven't really gotten into. So these are a few that I recommend in my application of makeup. Then I like to go in with my Morphe E21 brush and go over that cream base with a very bone colored eyeshadow, just because you want to mattify that cream, because if you go over it with an eyeshadow color that is not a cream, it'll kind of muddle up into that crease area. So any bone colored shadow, anything that I'm showing you here, I'm going to be using the Morphe 35O palette for today's look, and it gives a variety of many different colors, so I love this palette for that. Moving forward, I like to use this brush as my transition brush. It's the Morphe R40, and it's just very fluffy and big, as you can see here. And these are some transition colors that I like to use personally, so it's just very light, very light colors, such as like light browns, light oranges, or anything in that type of family, just because you want to have a gradient effect when you are doing your eyeshadow, so you want everything to fade into that color. And basically I can take 1, 2, or 3 of them, and it'll just pick up just a little bit on that big fluffy brush, which is why I love this brush so much. And as you can see, this eyeshadow color doesn't really provide much of an eyeshadow color. Like it's there, but it's not there, and you can build it up as much as you want, but it won't really show off to that intensity because it's just a transition color. So you can intensify a lot, but not that much, because this color isn't really supposed to be the main focus of your eyeshadow look. It's just there to provide a gradient effect for when you do start intensifying your look, and we will get into that throughout this video. So yeah. The next brush I like to use while blending up my eyeshadow is the Morphe M4 for 1 brush, and it's a longer type of brush. It's very tapered, as you can see, compared to the first transition color brush that I used, the R40. It's very skinny. The R40 is just fluffier, and the M4 for 1 is a bit more tapered, so it kind of more precisely puts down the eyeshadow color where you want it to. And as you can see here, like the bigger R40 is very fluffy. So yes, I like to work it into my crease a little bit more, a little lower than where you place your transition color. So like the light oranges that I will use is like perfect for this brush, or any other color that you want to use, but just place it a little bit lower than your transition. For this, I will go in with that light orange, and you can see like it fits perfectly into my crease, and that is why I love this brush, because it'll place on the color, but it'll help you blend it out because it is tapered. So that's the difference between this brush and the R40 one. The R40 just blows out the entire color all over your crease, and this one literally just places it there, but at the same time helps you blend it out where it doesn't have any harsh lines. Another thing that's great about this brush is that you can build up the eyeshadow color. So layer after layer, if you don't like the opacity of it, you can keep building it up with this exact same brush. Another good thing is that you can use this brush for multiple colors. So say like you want to go a little bit darker, you can go ahead and use the same brush and just apply it to where you want to, and deepen out your look to how you want it to look like. As you can see here, I'm going in with that other orange color, and I'm just taking the same exact brush and I'm just placing that in the same areas. So I'm deepening out that color because I want it to be a blown out orange look, smoky look, and that is what I did. The next brush that I like is the M513 by Morphe, and obviously it's a shorter blending brush, and it's very wide, so it's like the transition color brush but in a shorter version, as you can see, compared to the three brushes here. And I really like this brush because you can pick up the color and it picks up more eyeshadow than the rest of these, and since it is like not as tapered but more flat, it'll place the color down and give you more opacity to that color. So with this brush, I like to go in with darker colors because it's getting to the point where it's more precise and it's like working eyeshadows in the outer V of my eyes. So you can see I'm gonna place my darker color just in the outer corners, but not too much going in. So I would say like the most that you can drag the color in would probably be like a third of your eye. So because not a lot of dark colors are used in the inner corner unless you're doing a very smoky look. But how I like to place my eyeshadow is from light to dark, so with each color I am gonna keep going darker. So actually, like, you don't have to keep this color in the outer corner specifically. You can also drag it into your crease. You can do whatever you want as long as you know how to work your brushes and do that gradient type of effect look, because your look can be very messy if you start off very dark with a dark eyeshadow. And what I like to do is I like to dip in the same brush with different colors, because like all of these brushes are very multifunctional and it doesn't have one set like color to use for it or whatever. But for me personally, this is how I like to use my eyeshadow brushes, and the smaller and like fluffier the brush is, like I just like to use it for darker colors and build up that darkness in my crease, and then the more bigger and the more less dense that it is, I like to use that to blow out the transition color. Don't forget to go back in with your transition color brushes and just blend out those harsh lines so everything can be blended and seamless looking. Taking an even darker color from the Morphe 35O palette and the same brush, which is the M513 blending brush, I'm just using that to go over the outer V a little bit more, just to deepen it out to my liking, because I am going for a very dark, like a fade to dark look here. And then here comes the infamous blending brush M433. Compared to the M513, it's a little bit smaller, denser, so which means it'll pick up a bit more product and place it on your eyelids a bit more heavier, so you kind of have to be careful and tap it off. Compared to that other blending brush and our first brush, as you can see, I am going from a bigger to smaller sized brush, and that's because I went from not being very precise to extremely precise of color placement in terms of that, you know what I mean? So that's pretty much, these brushes are pretty much like my staples. I'll always be using these brushes, and this is how I like to use them in the way that I apply my eyeshadow. So as you can see, I am going to be taking a very dark brown color from the Morphe palette and then just place that into my outer crease, because that is pretty much where I want to place the darkest color. And then always just remember to keep blending out that harsh edges, because you don't want it to look like you just place the colors down and there is no blend between them. And I'm just taking the M441, the ones that we've been using. And so you'll see that I will go back into transition colors and make sure that it's not too harsh, that I don't like how the eyeshadow is looking. So just make sure, like, use your best judgment. Like, it's all like a matter of creating your own image and your own creativity and just expressing it that way, and what you think is beautiful in your eyes can translate differently to other people. So this is how I like to do it. And yeah, if you're watching, thank you so much for watching, because I know you like how I do makeup. Then to just place down a metallic color on my actual lids, like my inner thirds of my lids, I like to go in with my Sonia Kashuk 110 brush. And it's just a flat concealer brush, but I like to use it for my eyeshadow. And how I like to make my eyeshadow really stand out when I do use these types of colors is I like to spray Fix Plus on it. And I'll take that color and I'll just run the brush on it. Then slowly, like in sweeper, like what is it called, like small, like sweep motions, I'll just place that color onto my eyelids and try to make sure that I blend out that color a little bit when it meets the darker color, so there's no harsh line there. And then I wanted to have a different overall color in the end, so I sprayed some Fix Plus with that exact color, and I just placed it with the same flat brush on top of the bronzy color, and that gave me a lighter color that I really liked. And when in doubt, girl, just blend it out. So I'm using the same brush, the M433 brush, and I'm just blending out where the metallic meets the dark, so making sure that there is no harsh lines there. And I will actually go back into the dark color and just put a little bit more darkness out there when I feel like I've lost the color. And going back to blend everything out, and then taking my makeup wipe and just making sure that I wipe all the fallout away, because that's why you do your eyeshadow first, okay? I already went ahead and applied my wing liner off camera, and I used my NYC Liquid Liner in matte black. Then I'll go on to do my face, so I'll apply my Cover FX Custom Blot Drops and just run that through my entire face until it feels tacky. Then I'll go ahead and apply my foundation, which is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea, my Holy Grail foundation, and just like drip that in all the places of my face. Then I went ahead and applied some Smashbox primer water, and I don't know why I did this, but I just wanted to do something different, and I blended out my foundation with my Morphe M439 Kabuki blending brush. And you know, like, I like to use blending brushes and I like to use beauty blenders, but sometimes I'm just too lazy to freaking go wet my beauty blender, so that's why I like to use my brush. Once that is done, I like to move into concealer, and I just like to highlight my face, not really conceal anything. So I use the Tarte Shape Tape in medium, and this is one of my favorite concealers, but I can live using the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. I really like that one as well. Another good one would be like the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, but I think that one's too expensive for me, or I don't even freaking know, but I barely use it now because the product goes out so fast and I don't want to have to buy new ones. And I like to blend out my concealers with a dry beauty blender. I don't know why, it probably pushes the product into my face a bit more better than if it was wet, so it wouldn't really soak the product as much. And that's a good tip, like if you want to have more coverage. And girl, I need as much coverage as I want, as I can have, because I don't know, I just like it. In order to set my concealer, I like to go in with Cover FX Perfect Setting Powder, and this is something new that I've discovered from like Manimoo and like Laura Lee, and I've been enjoying it so far. And another new thing that I've been doing is actually setting my under eye with a brush instead of using my beauty blender, and for this I like to use my Morphe R30 brush. And so what I'll do is I'll just pat it, not really swipe it or rub it anywhere. I'll just pat it into place, and just leave it on and bake for a few minutes, and then I'll just wipe it off whenever I feel like it has done its job. And yes, I know we look crazy, guys, but it's okay. It's worth it. I trust me. And then for face powder, I like to just set my face with the MAC Studio Fix powder and Oldie But a Goodie, my favorite, and a Morphe E3 brush because I don't know, it's just big and fluffy, and I just like how it comes to a taper, so it's my favorite. Then to just finish off the eyes, I'm going to finish my lower lash line by using the brush M431. It's a very tapered pencil brush, so your basic pencil brush, and it's perfect to fit into that lower lash line. And yeah, it might tickle at first if you are not used to it. So just try to get used to it and just don't fight into the urge of not using it, because it does make a difference when you don't do your lower lash line and put some type of eyeshadow, because you want to balance out the look pretty much. So whatever color I use on the top for my eyeshadow, for starting off with the transition, I'm gonna keep copying the same exact colors that I put on the top to the bottom. Instead of doing black into my waterline, I opted for a peachy nude, and I used the Rimmel London Scandal Eyes in the color Nude. Then to just dust away all the bakage with the same brush, my E3 by Morphe. Moving on to the eyelashes, I love very thick and voluminous eyelashes, so the Makeup Shack Slayer lashes are freaking bomb. And how I like to apply my eyelashes is I like to look straight instead of downwards, but it was kind of hard to film this because I have a mirror that's exactly my eye height, and I look into that, but it was kind of hard to film, so I had to use a very small compact mirror. And first off, I would place it in the middle. Usually I would use the tweezers, which is very dangerous, but it's kind of what I have for now and what I've been using. So if you're not very comfortable with that, I suggest you use the ones that come with the pack, so it doesn't really have a fine tip that you can poke your eyes out. So as you can see, I'll just place it down, and then I'll attach the ends of the eyelashes, and that's pretty much how I do it. So you have to make sure though that your glue is tacky enough that your eyelash glue won't get all over the place and cause a mess for you. So yeah. And that is exactly why I put my eyelashes off camera, because it takes a while. But moving on to contour, I love my Shade and Light contour palette. As you already know, I've been using it in literally all my videos, but yeah, nothing new here. And the brush that I'm currently loving for contour is the Morphe M51. And my absolute favorite highlight is the Makeup Forever Starlit powder in 13, and as you can see, it's very finely milled, and I decided to spill some onto the cap, but I spilled some on my table and it was a very hot mess. So I just decided to apply some onto my inner corners with my Morphe R41 pencil brush, and this is the brush that I use specifically for highlighters on my inner corners or on my eyebrows, because I don't know, I just like to keep my brushes very uniform and not very mix them up with different colors. As for my highlighting brush, I like to use my Morphe M510 brush just because it's pretty much perfect for my the highest points of my cheeks, and I don't know, it's just so much hype around it that it really does fall into a very good brush for highlighting, and yeah, I've been enjoying it so far. Then for mascara, I decided to go in with my Maybelline Big Shot Colossal Mascara, and as you can see, my mirror is right there. I just needed something to look into and blend my natural lashes with my falsies, and yes, that's the fucking beautifulest face, you know what I mean? To get your lower lashes, yeah, just make that face, you know what I mean? I know this video is taking so long, but bear with me, we're almost done. Then to just set my entire face, I'm going with my MAC Fix Plus, just to get rid of the powderiness and make my skin very skin-like. And then I'll just go in with my lips, and that will be it. For the lips, I'm going to be taking my Kat Von D Bow and Arrow, and that pretty much completes this look. actually went in with two setting sprays. So I took my Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray and I just spritzed that, and we are freaking done. Alright guys, so this completes my finished look. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. If you made it this far, thank you. I love you, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!